I have had hundreds of people private message me wanting to know a little bit more information after that video I posted talking about what I do in merchant services in the credit card space. And some people have a little bit of an understanding in the payment industry, some have none at all. You probably saw that funny video that my team has where we have some actors and we just did a little blurb about what it is. That is a fun little explanation, but it's not as detailed. So I'm going to film this video right now to give you guys a little bit more in depth on what really we do, because it is very cool and it's something that not a lot of people know. 99% of business owners, when they set up a business, the last thing they're thinking about is who they partner with to accept payments through, but it's one of the most important decisions that they could possibly make. They're so focused on bringing in revenue and making that first dollar that they don't really prioritize who's going to help facilitate that dollar. And that's where they make a huge mistake, and that's where they mess up. And this is on all scales. This is on companies that do $100,000 a year, and this is on companies that do $100 million a year. What happens in this industry is, because payment processing is not regulated, you have different banks that partner with different what are called aggregators to allow them to do these different markups on the processing fees that businesses incur. And this is over all different industries that accept payments. And so we'll use some big ones, for example. I don't want to say names for compliance wise, but if you were, let's say, to set up an e-commerce store, right? You can probably think of a couple main companies that you'd set up to accept payments through. Those main companies, there's many, but those ones that basically require no underwriting. The reason they require no underwriting, if you don't know what underwriting is, it's just very simple. It's just some due diligence, right? It's them making sure that you're operating with integrity, you're not doing anything shady. Same way if you were to buy a house, right? They got to just check up on you. Well, the reason a lot of these companies do not really require much of it is because their method is to get you in the door fast, right? Get you accepted fast. You can start taking payments, start making them money because they can charge fees. And then at any point, if they see anything that they think is a little shady, they have all the keys. They have all the power to do what they want. They can hold your funds indefinitely, and you have to do an appeal process. They can require a massive amount of reserves that you have to hold. So maybe you have to always have $100,000 in the accounts in order to be in good standing with them. But the other thing that they do is, in your statements that you receive, in the fine print at the very bottom, very small, they'll sometimes have little disclaimers that say, note, if you don't respond to this, we're going to increase your rate by X basis points. And they slowly increase your fees, especially as you go up in revenue. Well, why is this an issue? Well, as you're growing your business, as you're trying to scale and be successful, the last thing that you want is a company slowly taking little bits out of what you're building. And so the reason this happens is because these different banks leverage these aggregators, and everyone is just marking up what they can get from you. And so it's kind of like the game of telephone, right? If I say a sentence to you and then you say to someone else, by the third or fourth person, it's a completely different sentence. Well, your business is basically being pawned off by all these different people that are taking little bits out, right? And because the space is not really regulated, tons of companies are able to do this. And what is mind-boggling, what you would be surprised about, is that companies that do $100 million a year, really successful companies with CEOs that have big egos, may think that they have everything dialed in, but they actually don't. They actually really are not aware that they're paying huge fees that they otherwise wouldn't know about. But not just fees. The other thing is if you have too many refunds, or you have too many chargebacks or support issues from customers, which, hey, look, when you're building the business, that happens. They at any point can basically blacklist you or freeze your account. And if you don't have a backup processor or backup ones in place, you're kind of screwed. So that's the negative, right? That's the con. What do we do that's cool? Well, what we do is we underwrite you directly to the bank. Okay, so we underwrite you directly to the people that are going to be able to actually put you in a place to get the lowest fees, right? The lowest rates. And that's what makes us unique. We have facilitated banking relationships that last decades. And because of those relationships, we have the ability to get very, very low fees. The other thing about this that's really cool is we actually make sure that you go through an underwriting process. Now, this process doesn't take weeks, but it's so that when you actually have a merchant account that is direct to you, that you have full control over, and it's a direct API into what you're already doing. So from a technology side, it's very simple. But the cool thing about that is that if you ever have a handful of chargebacks or some refunds, you don't automatically just get blacklisted because they didn't take any time to underwrite you. No, the bank actually has an intimate understanding of what your business does, so they're much more lenient with how you may incur unwarranted or unprepared situations. Whereas if you just went to a random website and got a payment system set up, any little thing that goes against their risk factor, boom, you're gone. So it's easy to get set up, it's easy to get screwed. But when you underwrite directly, you have so much more benefit. So our team has multiple different back-end channels to do this. And what we guarantee is that if you underwrite with us, you will not pay more. You're always gonna pay less. We don't bring people on where they would pay more. We only bring on companies if we can save them money, which we can because we're able to see the current fees they're paying on their own, where they're at. And the other thing we do is we guarantee we will never increase those rates. So whatever you're shown on your savings, you are locked in that forever. There's a ton of other benefits too. But that is a very general understanding of what we do. Now, for someone that wants to be a brand partner, that wants to actually be able to earn a lifestyle, or a living doing this, you refer businesses, they go through underwriting and they switch their provider or get us as their main provider. And as long as they're processing volume and business through that, you, through a very sophisticated back office that we've we've built in-house, all custom coded, you get compensated for that. And you can track all your business, you can track all your volume. And so the reason why it's so special is because you can build something in one time. So I know this video got a little bit long, but that's a little bit of just a general concept on what we do that's so unique. And as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, it's an amazing feeling to be able to, one, grow something that is hands-off after you build it, but two, and more importantly, to provide a win-win situation for business owners. And I mean this by two ways. I do not bring in a company if we can't add value to them. I cannot bring in a company unless we can save them money, because why would they want to come work with us? That's number one. So every business on our portfolio list, we've helped. We've been able to provide savings that goes back into their employees, goes back into their family, goes back in whatever they want to do with it. But the second thing that's really cool is when that business becomes more successful and they start growing, well, we all win, because a business that does $1 million a year will not pay us as much as a business that does $100 million a year. So if you are one of our clients and your business 10X's, well, we also earn 10X, right? So your income can increase too as these businesses succeed. So you want the businesses to succeed. You want people to be fruitful. And that, I think, is an incredible business to be a part of, because you want everyone to do well. So that's a little bit of what we do. I'm gonna continue to create more content talking about this industry, because as I mentioned, it changed my life. If this is something that you need, if you do not like your provider, if you need a better solution, we have that answer. We have a full stack team. We can review everything, PCI compliant, completely confidential, and show you where you're getting hit with fees and some things that you may not want. And if you are looking for a new business model that you can do on top of your job or your other companies or your entrepreneur endeavors, reach out and my team will get in touch and we will help you have some solutions. All right, I'm gonna go play some golf.